I share an off-campus row house with 4 other girls. We assumed it would be cheaper and nicer than dorms. In August, we had just started paying our rent. The owners padlocked the basement, which had 3 floors in the house. I work as a CNA at strange hours. I began to notice that my snacks were either half-eaten or totally gone one day. I was feeling annoyed, but figuring out who ate what in a large house is too much work, so I ignored it. On weeknights, I work until approximately 11 p.m. and come home about 11:30 p.m. I began to notice cookware left on the counter or snack wrappers strewn about. I thought it was strange because none of my roommates had ever done anything like that before, but I simply assumed they drank a bottle of wine, went to bed, and forgot about it. My housemates began to complain once more. We began to inquire this time because all of our meals had been consumed and items had been left. I knew it was one of them, but no one wants to say they ate another person's snacks in college, where snacks are limited. We put it down to the girl who constantly smokes and eats her body weight in food. She was insistent that it wasn't her. This lasted about 2 months. It became clearer that someone was stealing everyone's meals. I'm hoping it's her. When I arrived home from work one night, I was on the verge of passing out. I needed to get to bed ASAP. I entered the room from the front door, and the stairwell is just in front of you. You can also see into the kitchen from the side. I stepped in and noticed someone in the kitchen, but I was too sleepy to say hello, so I headed upstairs. When I arrived on the second floor, I noted that all of my roommates' doors were shut, indicating that they were either sleeping or in their rooms for the night. I had a strange sensation, something that made it all come together. Isn't it true that they were all asleep? At that instant, I realized it wasn't any of my housemates down there. I crept across the hall to my roommate's room. Fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately, she didn't have her door locked. I murmured to her that I believe there is someone in the house. She had the widest eyes I've ever seen and looked like she was about to cry. She used her mouth to dial the 911 line. We were completely silent the entire time and didn't hear anything. We contacted 911 and explained the situation, and they promised to send someone as soon as possible. And because it is a large and violent city, that means right away. Later, the cops entered and had a look around. They asked as to whether there are any other floors. We informed them that supposedly there is a basement, but it is padlocked, so no. They double-checked the basement just in case, and they were correct. In the padlocked basement, a man had been hiding. The lock was taken off its hinges and placed up against the wall. He had grabbed one of our roommate's pillows from the hall closet, a mattress from who knows where, and his clothes. He was the one that was moving and consuming all of our belongings. He'd do it in the middle of the night if he had to. He also had a kitchen knife in his hand, as though he was planning to kill us if necessary. That's what frightened me the most. We never slept with our own doors locked. He had instant access to any of us, and we had no idea. I was the only one who went down to look when he was arrested, and I swear to God that face will haunt me for life.
So there's this dude that I have not talked to since 7th grade. I'm gonna be a junior in 2 days. I have not texted him, talked to him, no communication since 7th grade. Well, homeboy decided to go on my Instagram story and take a screenshot of one of my posts where I'm like, oh, I'm about to hit 100K on Instagram. Like, if I hit it by the end of the year, that'd be so cool. Like, literally me just saying it'd be so cool if I hit 100K on Instagram. He took a screenshot of it, right? And homeboy goes out of his way to post it on his main Snapchat story and say, please shut the F up. Like, what? Baby, what? Like, what? What is so annoying about me wanting to hit 100K on Instagram? So I go to text him about it, and he blocked me. Like, how you gonna be all big and bad, but then block me? Like, what? Then I DM'd him on Instagram a picture of me being like, follow me, I'm about to hit 100K on Instagram. Just to be petty. But, like, sorry you're jealous or something. So back in 6th or 7th grade, I was dating this guy. We'll call Caleb. And me and Caleb had been dating for maybe a month, if that. And there was one thing that he would do that would just really So homeboy, he would FaceTime me every single night, right? And every time he would FaceTime me, he would set his phone up in his closet, get shirtless, and just start doing push-ups. Like, yeah, he would FaceTime me, put me in his closet, and just start doing push-ups in front of me. And I'm not talking like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. No, I'm talking 30 minutes to an hour. He would do this every single night. And I was not allowed to go unpaused, otherwise he would get mad at me. So I literally had to sit there and watch him do push-ups for an hour. And he would start doing them one-handed and be like, yeah, ain't that cool, bae? Like, dog, what is this, gym class? I don't care. So yesterday I had driven an hour to go hang out with my friends, but nobody could hang out. So I just went to this park, I sat in my car at the parking lot, and I was just watching TikToks for a few hours. But then I really had to pee. And there's porta potties there, but a girl got R-worded in those porta potties, so I didn't really want to risk it. So I looked around my car and I found a cup. So I was gonna pee in the cup. I've done it before, no biggie. So I crawl into my back seat because the windows are tinted and the park was really busy, but nobody can see me if I'm in the back because of the tinted windows, so yay. So I'm peeing in the cup when I see a car start pulling up to my car, and they just keep getting closer and closer to my backseat windows, trying to see what I'm doing in my back seat. So I lay down on the floor of my car with a cup of piss in my hand, waiting for them to drive off. But they just kept getting closer and closer to my car to try to see what I was doing. And they kept trying to look at my car for 10 minutes. Mind your own business. I was trying to pee. So my first day working at McDonald's, I ended up serving about 40 people raw eggs. So when I first started my job at McDonald's, I was 15 years old. And when you're 15, you legally cannot work the grill. You can't go in the kitchen. You can't cook until you are 16 years old. I was 15. So my first day of work, my manager comes up to me and she's like, how old are you? And I was like, 15. And she's like, okay, cool. You're going to be working the grill. So I was like, okay. So I get in the back. Nobody is training me. Nobody is helping me. I literally have no idea what to do. Until this one girl comes up to me and she's like, okay, you're gonna be making eggs. Didn't tell me how to make them, didn't tell me anything. I have never made a damn egg in my life. So I start cooking the eggs for about 20 seconds. I didn't know what eggs were supposed to look like to cook. I didn't know. So I'm serving 20-second cooked eggs for about an hour when my manager comes up to me and she's like, these eggs are fucking raw. How long have you been selling these? And I'm like, for like an hour. She made me go on break and kicked me out of the kitchen. So me and my friends are driving back from the mall, and we were on this highway. I had directions pulled up because I didn't know how to get back to my town. And it says on this road I have to take a left turn eventually. But I don't know where this left turn is. So it says I'm like 0.3 miles away from this turn. So I start slowing down and I pull into this left turning lane. And it turns out it wasn't my turn. So I go to get back on the effing road. I turn my turn signal on and I'm veering back onto the road when this red Jeep from behind me comes blaring at me. So I swerve my car into a grass ditch and I'm literally driving on this grass ditch trying to get over, but this red car won't let me in. Every time I try to get back on the road, they just honk at me. Like, baby, what? So I had to drive on this grass ditch up until I found my turn. Like, why did they do that? What was the point? Just let me in, dog.
Dear subscribers, I want to tell you about the best site with the highest quality and most modern things. I always take their different hoodies, dresses and many more interesting and incredibly beautiful things. Link to it in the description of the video. So come in too. I have a surprise for you in the form of a 5% promo code for any item. He is waiting for you in the description for the video. Enjoy watching the best stories on YouTube.
Story time on how I had to beat my best friend and my boyfriend's ass. Okay, so boom. Me and my best friend have been friends for 8 years. Years later, when I met my boyfriend and we started dating, my best friend was always weirdly jealous. I didn't think much of it because I thought we were best friends and she would never do something like that to me, you know? Or so I thought. Well, one day me and my best friend were shopping and she got a text. She then tells me she has to go and just leaves. I didn't even have a chance to tell her bye. So I call my boyfriend and I say, hey, where are you? Then I hear the door close and a girl's voice in the background. I asked him, what was that? Who is that? And he had the audacity to say that was his mom. So I got to his house and talked to his mom and she said he wasn't there. Then his mom tells me he went to a hotel room. She told me the info and I went there. And guess what I found out? Like Part 2 on how I had to beat my best friend and my boyfriend's ass. Okay, so boom, like I said, his mom tells me he's in a hotel room and gives me the info. So I go over there. I needed to investigate. So I got there, and when I approached the room, I heard moaning. My heart dropped and I immediately started knocking on the door. But I didn't say it was me. I start to get so nervous thinking about what's going on in there. Then my boyfriend answers the door with his robe on, and I immediately pushed him to the side to find my best friend naked on the bed. That's when I ended up beating their asses. I was actually beating them up so bad that a random girl in the hallway had to come in and stop the fight. Y'all know how the typical boy begging to come back and the best friend hating thing? Yeah, I was good off of that. Good riddance. I'm glad I taught them a lesson. Story time on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom. This was back in 2017. So I was 17 and my sister was 20. And my stepdad was 32. So when I was 16, my sister and I were introduced by my mom to my stepdad. And right off the bat, my sister was very flirty with him. I would always catch them doing things like my sister rubbing my stepdad's muscles and him just standing there loving it. I would try to tell my mom, but she would always tell me that they're just getting along and that they're basically father and daughter. Anyways, this day it was my birthday and me and my mom were gonna have a girls' day. So that meant that my sister and my stepdad were going to be all alone. My mom and I told them that we would be back around 10. So we go to a store to shop, but long story short, I fell and hurt my foot, so we had to go back early. As soon as we get into the house, we hear moaning. I immediately looked at my mom and told her, I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like the NBA life report. Part 2 on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom, like I said, we came home early and immediately heard moaning. I looked at my mom and said, I told you so. As soon as I said that, my mom ran upstairs like she was a track star. She's a runner, she's a track star. Anyways, I ran after my mom and we opened the door together and we see my sister naked with my stepdad. My sister immediately started crying and my mom was literally beating my stepdad. And me, oh yeah, I was just laughing. Like, that was not shocking at all. Like, I literally saw it coming. After my mom was done beating my stepdad's ass, he was begging her for forgiveness. And y'all, she forgave him. I was so mad that I called the cops. But then the cops told me that it wasn't an emergency, so they hung up on me. So I was even more fed up. So I decided that I was going to beat my stepdad's ass, but 100 times worse than my mom did. Then I did it to my sister, and it gets worse. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how me and my mom walked in on my sister sleeping with my stepdad. Okay, so boom, like I said, I was beating my stepdad's ass and then I was beating my sister's ass. Because I was so mad that my mom literally forgave this man for sleeping with her daughter. And my sister was literally always trying to sleep with my stepdad. Like she was sick. They all were sick. So I called my biological dad and I told him everything. Then he came over and then he gave my stepdad a real ass whooping. My sister actually lost her V card to my stepdad. And y'all, she got pregnant. I didn't want anything to do with that baby and no one else in the family wanted anything to do with that baby. So my sister ended up giving the baby up for adoption. And shortly after she gave birth, she went to jail, as she should, where she belongs. And so does my stepdad. Look, y'all, not all family is good family. They could be crazy and nasty. Goodbye. Story time on how my babysitter used a teddy bear to spy on me while I changed. Okay, so boom. My parents worked a lot and they both worked night shifts. My dad would come home first at like 11 p.m. and then my mom would usually come around 1 a.m. My parents didn't want me to be home alone for too long, so I would have a babysitter from 3 when I would get off of school till 11 when my dad came home. By the way, I'm 12 and the babysitter that we're going to be talking about is 19. So I usually stayed with my older cousin till my dad came home, but my cousin and her family moved. So my parents were forced to get me an actual babysitter. So like a week into me dealing with this new babysitter, one night I was changing and my babysitter tried to open the door, but it was locked. I told her that I was changing, but she told me that I have to leave my door unlocked just in case something happens. I only believed her because my parents had a similar rule. But eventually my babysitter was always walking into me accidentally while I changed. I was getting annoyed, so I had to think of something to stop her. Yeah, I'm running out of time. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how my babysitter used a teddy bear to spy on me while I changed. Okay, so boom, like I said, my babysitter kept accidentally walking in on me while I was changing. So to stop her, after I would get out the shower, I would literally go to her and say, hey, I'm in my room changing. I'll be right back. Please don't come in. So she had no choice but to stop accidentally seeing me. Well, that stopped her for a week, and then she got me a teddy bear. I was excited because it was a pretty big bear and it was super soft. She came in my room with me and said she got the perfect spot for the bear. And I was like, okay, cool. Y'all, she put it right on my dresser, front and center, great view to see everything. And ever since then, she never came back into my room. Y'all, the things I did in my room, like dancing with no clothes on, acting like I was Beyonce on stage, shaking my little booty with barely any clothes on. And little did I know she was downstairs watching the whole thing, cause the camera was in the teddy bear's eyes. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how my babysitter used the teddy bear to spy on me while I changed. Okay, so boom, like I said, she gave me a teddy bear with camera eyes and put it on my dresser. I, of course, didn't notice that there was actually cameras in the eyes of the teddy bear. Well, one day my mom was cleaning my room and she asked me where did I get this bear from. And I told her that my babysitter got it for me. And my mom was like, oh, okay. For some reason, my mom was creeped out about the bear, and she ended up putting it in the washroom to clean it later. That same night, before I even got a hello, my babysitter said, why'd you move the bear? And I looked at her and said, how did you even know the bear was moved? She kind of stumbled on her words, but then she told me that my mom told her. I obviously fell for it and was like, oh yeah, she put it in the washroom to clean later. Y'all, my babysitter went to the washroom and took the bear, and she placed it back on the dresser at the same spot. And she told me to tell my mom that we washed the bear together. I really didn't care, so I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I went about my day. This is where it gets real. Like for part 4. Part 4 on how my babysitter used the teddy bear to spy on me while I changed. Okay, so boom, like I said, after my mom moved the teddy bear, my babysitter went in and moved it back. The next day, it was Saturday, so my mom was off. My mom came in my room and saw the teddy bear and asked me why I brought it back up. So I said, honestly, Mom, the babysitter put it back up. She was so sad that you moved it. You should have never even told her. And my mom just looked at me confused and was like, what do you mean? I didn't tell her I moved the bear. And I said, of course you did, Mom. You probably just forgot. Because before she even walked through those doors, she asked me why I moved the bear.